X-Pac, 1, 2, 3, 60.
A new day is dawning for DX.
And now, your hosts, Sean, X-Pac, Waltman.
Welcome to what? Welcome to Xpac 1, 2, 3, 60, everyone.
Yeah.
That was nice and smooth. Anyways, yeah, hey, so we have a good show. And once again, no guests because I want to do all the talking.
I think that's okay.
You guys help me out here.
Put yourself over, man.
I read a tweet somewhere. I forgot who wrote this, but someone said, I think it was a girl. She was like, I can listen to Sean's voice all day.
Oh.
So there you go. That's a good sign.
Like velvet.
Okay, yo, this is my command.
But it was a big week in wrestling, Sean, and starting with Starrcast. You want to tell us a little bit about what happened, how it all went down for you?
Oh, well, I mean, it was such a nice week. Just over. Okay, I have a lot of words in my head, and I know how to use them. Let me do it. Let me complete a sentence. Yeah. It was really nice, and I didn't have to get on an airplane. I drove there, like a 5-hour drive.
Nice run. Nice desert
run. Yeah. It's just like the last Starrcast that was in Chicago with All In and all that. Just All In and all that.
There you go. Now we have the
Me and
the
my
one
words
after
today,
all out.
everyone. I compared it to like the Woodstock of wrestling. It was like this big gathering of people like that just all love wrestling and were able to get together and nobody had to worry about anyone looking at them like they're judging them for their silliness. Like there was a dude walking around Caesar's Palace at Starrcast, and he was definitely from. Well, I know 1,000% he was from wrestling because he was like. Coming up to Lula and, cutting Lula and talking. Anyways, he had the Starrcast bracelet on, but also it was a dude, like, with the dress on. It was like transgender. Right. And no one even, it's like, it's all good. Everything's good. When you come to something like that.
Like Comic-Con, but for wrestling only?
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure, man. That's cool. You can be accepted for who you are and what you represent.
And no one's like, oh, look at that, It's because it's like, look at that with everyone there. Because we're all fucking nuts.
That's one thing. I'm going to hop in real quick. This is Jeff from the booth who produces the show.
Hey, Jeff.
I'm a little bit more of an outsider with wrestling, but as I've become more and more ingrained producing this show, one of the things I love is it does seem like such an inclusive community. And I feel like my initial impression based on the little I knew is that it would have been kind of a closed sort of alpha community, but it seems like it's kind of a come one, come all type of community, which I love.
There is that element, too, that you were just talking about, Jeff. There's all different kinds that are attracted to wrestling, and then there is that element that might be that toxic, because I don't think alpha is necessarily a bad thing. It's just like when you get into necessarily, it's not. It's just it's a personality type, but it gets turned into and like stuff having to do with toxicity,
Right,
and so there is that element, but. I'm trying to work on my knows and and all that shit.
Yeah, see.
Sorry,
I'm
guys.
doing it also.
So bear with me when I say
But you
right?
raise a good point. You raise a good point. As a kid, I was a huge fan of Archie comics, for example.
Yeah.
Which is totally not the same thing, but kind of is. There was always a group of us are always like, oh, you love Jughead? So do I. But there was always that other group. It was like, how dare you read these comics? It was our thing. It's too popular now. Like, it's not. It's too mainstream. I thought it was kind of weird. But you're right. Every fandom has that kind of dualism going at once.
Sure, and it's like, it's more, I don't remember it being that way when I was younger. And maybe it's just because I don't know. I guess sometimes it's just the innocence of ignorance. Like, you don't know, I was too busy worried about like other things in wrestling. Like, I was too busy worried about how great the show was, not like, that you had different,
Mm-hmm.
So what the fuck am I trying to say?
There definitely is a lot of differences.
Subsections of the fucking,
of wrestling fans.
community.
But
yeah.
there really is though, and you can tell like there are certain wrestling fans that are very different from other wrestling fans. You know, but it's fine because in the end it kind of all sort of meshes in together. You know,
Usually.
I always notice them at live events. For example, there's always that one person that they start doing their own commentary at the shows, which is fine. The way I see it is you pay your ticket, you do what you want as long as you're not disturbing everybody else.
Exactly.
And then there's other people like me that we watch in silence, so everybody's very different, but I think in all it comes together. But one of the things that I notice is that right now, after traveling to so many different wrestling events, traveling for wrestling events, the common thing is the fans just want to have a good time and connect with other people. Because for the most part, a lot of wrestling fans just know each other through online, or whether you go to the indie shows. Like, you're not really seeing like your buddy that likes AEW along with you every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. You're not. You're only seeing them rare times, so might as well take that opportunity.
Yeah, and honestly, I think that it's more noticeable when you have certain podcast hosts that kind of traffic in that divisiveness, and just like these fans are snowflakes, and like that kind of shit.
Right.
Or the other way around. The back and forth and criticizing people that don't think like you.
Sure.
And like when you have a podcast host, I'm not naming names because like there are some and some don't even probably don't even think they're doing it or whatever. But when they exploit that, it brings it to the surface, and otherwise, like, I think no one would even be, everyone would be just too busy enjoying the fucking show. Anyways, all right, what was I saying? We
were just talking about Starrcast weekends and what you thought about the vibe and the fans, and then okay, so you were there for how many days doing signings at Starrcast?
Friday through Sunday.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, well, how was the overall flow? Like, how did everything flow? Was it differently from the first show? From the first Starrcast?
It was some of this. I mean, some things were better just because trial and error and experience and learning lessons. So like the scheduling was. There was enough room to breathe in between things you were scheduled for, like when, on the first Starrcast, like that was a little bit of an issue, just because, it was the first time they did it, and this was the second time they done it, and on such a grand scale, there's bound to be some things, and some, I didn't really notice because I wasn't too caught up in what anyone else was doing. My experience was mostly positive. Some things I think Conrad had a tough time, with things that were out of his control, and also, it's just things. I was telling you kind of off air, just $180 for a goddamn 12-pack of soda for the green room. I mean,
in Caesar's Palace.
Yeah,
a little
like
overpriced.
That. Yeah. So I don't know. What we
So maybe better options for maybe the type of audience that's there, because I know I can't afford a $180 meal. That's for sure.
Right.
So maybe I think that you're saying that maybe it should be a little bit catered a little bit differently.
I just think that.
There was a price going on that stage. That was a price going to Caesar Palace.
Yeah, I don't. I'm pretty sure Conrad's not going to go back to Caesar's fucking palace.
Yeah, exactly.
He's a great guy. Everything he does is coming from a good place, and if anybody has any complaints, I get it. Not everything worked out how it was supposed to. But try to understand. This guy's doing his best because he loves this. He's one of them. And, the guy's doing his best to try to bring something amazing, to the wrestling community. And sometimes things don't go like they're supposed to, and yes, as a consumer, a customer, someone, yeah, if you're not satisfied, that's important. That's the most important thing, really. It's just try to take into consideration that there are some things that just are out of their control, and you're dealing with a bunch of fucking wrestlers.
A lot of different personalities.
Yes. Yeah, like guys that when you text them or call them, for their meet and greet in the morning, they're grumpy as fuck, and they just say, "Oh, fuck it, I don't feel like showing up."
Yikes.
And what are you going to do? Force them? Like Conrad has to deal with all these different personalities, and not everyone's easy to deal with. I'm not easy to deal with, and I was probably like one of the easier people he had to deal with there. So, anyways.
I kind of think, too, sometimes Vegas, I think, can just bring out the worst in people, too.
I'm not a huge fan.
Yeah, I feel like once you've
Fuck
been there
that
for
place.
48 hours,
Yeah.
it kind of sucks your soul out of your body, I feel.
Yeah.
I'm always ready to leave Vegas when I'm done with it.
It's funny because I'm that way at Comic-Con. And together, bam, we got this one mixture, right?
Yeah.
So now tell us about Get High, Watch Wrestling. How was that?
It was the best. It was absolutely the best. I wish you guys would have came. Were you you were there, right?
Well, I
You were
didn't
in
get
Vegas,
there,
right?
but I was only there for one day.
Oh, okay.
I got there double or nothing, and I left the morning afterwards.
So, Matthew from Botchamania, he did just an amazing job.
Wow.
About an hour long. It was the video clips he strung together about an hour long, and the music video part of it at the end. To take it home was brilliant. I'm using all these words. Brilliant, amazing, excellent.
It works.
But you said there was a lot of people there.
Oh, it was jam packed.
Yeah.
Jam packed. Yeah, people were it was standing room only. I don't know. There was 400 people, something like that. It was and Mike Lawrence and Ron were they just crushed it. They're so fucking funny. And I didn't have much to say on this one. On the previous ones, I had more to offer, but it wasn't, no one, like, everyone had a great time. Everyone loved it. I don't think anyone's going, "Oh, X-Pac didn't say enough." You had two fucking the funniest people in the world sitting on either side of me that were keeping the laughs going. So, yeah.
Would you do it again?
Oh, that was the last one.
Okay.
We don't plan on doing any more of those, but something like that should be done. Like not the Get High part necessarily, because that was just that's. You can do the whole thing without the get high before, let's smoke a bunch of weed beforehand. If that's what somebody wants to do, like people can do their own thing. If someone wants to smoke a joint before they go. Someone wants to have a few, drinks, get loosened up, whatever somebody wants to do. It doesn't have to be I don't know. I told Matthew he should do that.
Yeah.
Over in England, or not England, over in Europe, just, because most of that was his, hard work that was put into that, and he could find a couple comedians and, do his own show like that.
Well, hey, if 400 or so people are showing up, then it's definitely something people are interested in.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Anyways, talk to me some more, Denise.
Well, I was about to say, I don't think I would have survived, though, because I remember I did one show. I was actually ring announcing this show where everybody was smoking and getting high. Now, you guys know I don't smoke or get high or anything like that. So everything was going in, and I was just like barely struggling to breathe and that sort of thing. But it was still pretty interesting and a different experience. So, hey, even if you don't smoke, I guess, check it out, and try something different. All right, but let's go into it. Let's talk about the big talk of the town right now, Double or Nothing. I think that this was a show that everybody was going to be like, okay, does AEW really have something here now moving forward? So I'm going to go ahead and say that everybody from fans to media to people in the business were overall pretty happy with the results of this show and everything that surrounded it. But I want to know what your guys' thoughts were on the show. But let's go ahead and do you guys just want to first give up some like overall thoughts, maybe compare this one to All In? Was there any major differences that you thought?
I didn't, because I was there live, and I wasn't out in the arena for the whole show, so I didn't like watch the show like say the average viewer, right? So what I noticed was a lot of similarities in the feel and the vibe, the vibe. I mean, you were there, right?
Right.
You were there at All In.
I was not
too.
there at All In. All In I
Okay.
watched via TV.
All right. Did you see any of this on TV?
No, only from on screen. So everything that my whole perspective was from what was obviously there in person, and then from the TV screens and that sort of thing, where I was trying to keep an eye on the production level. I know Flobo, you watched it on TV as well. So I feel we all kind of got a different take. But just real quick, I think that I watched All In from home, and I liked All In, but I wasn't necessarily crazy about it how everybody else was crazy about it, but, I don't really say that because, whatever. So, but my thing was that I enjoyed Double or Nothing a whole lot more than I did All In, because I felt All In was an all-star show, just like things thrown in, a bunch of big names, etc., a bunch of stuff happening.
Yes.
But Double or Nothing felt different in the sense of there's a lot happening, right? But it's all leading towards something. It felt more cohesive. It all flowed very smoothly. I think that the pre-show was okay. It wasn't the greatest pre-show of all time, but I thought the main card went like very nicely.
Sure. I agree. There's a lot of parts and elements there that I liked. They're building up to something else, like, to your point. We now have a better scene of the roster. AEW is on the mat, so we know what's going on. First impressions, that had that kind of vibe too, like WrestleMania or Royal Rumble, with the crowd being from all over the world. So some things that would have gone unnoticed by the casual viewers were exemplified, and thanks for it. Overall, I do think there were some moments personally where it would not really hit home for me, but this is really good for the business. I'd
like to know what those are.
Oh, right, you can put them in the spot right now?
Yeah.
So, from watching at home, even though the matches themselves were great, I was not quite blown away with the chemistry of the commentary. I think there's a dual responsibility to call the moves and the holes in the ring, while also educating people about the different characters or even the moves themselves. And it was kind of an assumed thing that everyone watching were a wrestling superfan. So thankfully, I was lucky enough to see most of the performers in other promotions. But if I was with my casual friends and someone goes, "Who's that?" they're like, well, he was in that one thing I saw 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I think there was a responsibility to really build that up. But again, overall, it's very, very minor. I know it's just their first official pay-per-view, so there has to be some kinks in there. But overall, it was good.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is that the commentary was geared toward more fans that, for example, they watch every week Being the Elite on YouTube, and they actually really, really like hardcore fans versus more of a mainstream newer audience, maybe even a WWE audience that's heading into this.
Sure, and I know right now for this event, you don't really have to do that. I mean, this is definitely your display, this is your grandstand, but eventually you have to keep those people in mind if you want to get more people in the door.
Yeah. I'm hoping and assuming that the announce team will, with more time working together, kind of, get some chemistry going. It was, I know what you mean. I wasn't watching a lot of the show to where I could hear the commentary. Some of it I was standing like out on the side of the stage or whatever, and I didn't even get there until right before Jack Evans and Angelico went out there for their match with Chucky and Trent.
That was good.
Yeah, so that's when I showed up.
Got it. But did you like because one of the things I did like, I don't know if you like this as well, was where they actually stationed the announce team. I thought it looked really like high class.
I didn't see it.
Oh, so they had basically, well, you could see it from the screens. That's why they were up on the top, sort of on like the second level of the MGM Grand, and they had the view of the audience. So it was very nice. I thought it looked really professional.
Oh, so they were pretty far away from the ring.
Yeah, they were behind the stage. I think it was stage left. I'm stage right, stage left. I don't know, but it looked really good on the screens and stuff like that. But yeah, okay, so let's go ahead and start it off. Hangman Adam Page won the Casino Battle Royale, which was a little bit different. Personally, I wasn't too crazy about how this was set up in terms of like the what was it, 4 or 5 people coming out through each deck of the cards. I thought that was a little bit maybe not a confusing,
they had a different.
but it felt slow.
Oh, so it wasn't just like your battle royal.
Right.
I mean, people came out and it was like a gimmick. Like,
I think it was like every 3 or 5 minutes.
Yeah, 3 5 minutes.
so
5 guys
it was
came
like
in waves.
Rumble-ish.
Yeah, it was like Rumble-ish with a Battle Royale
Yeah.
type deal. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I just know that I saw a clip of Page doing his like handspring into the ring clothesline thing, and it looked like he took the guy's head off.
Yeah,
It was great.
No, there was
And,
some really good moments there.
Yeah. I like this. I don't know. I saw Tommy Dreamer post a gif of Sonny Kiss ramming his face into his. I loved that. Thought that was great. I just got to be honest with you.
Yeah.
You know, I like that about AEW. They've had Sonny Kiss there and different. They just. I like that. I like all that shit.
Tommy
like
Dreamer
that-
got a huge pop from the audience.
Good. He fucking deserves it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I feel like he's one of those guys that everyone just likes across all the board. Like across every company, you've seen him appear everywhere. So you got to imagine like Tommy Dreamer must be one of the nicest guys.
Yeah.
I've never met him or anything, but I'm just assuming from seeing him everywhere.
Any other standouts in the Battle Royal?
Definitely, there was a few actually, but it was mainly obviously Hangman Page. There wasn't that many pops for that many people, to tell you the truth.
Hey,
and I noticed with Tommy
Luchasaurus
Dreamer-
got a lot of time in there, huh?
They did. It looks like they're doing something with him for sure. Oh, and Marco Stunt. By the way, when Marco Stunt and Luchasaurus came out together, because I was seeing like the side angle view. Oh my God, I could not believe the size difference.
Yeah.
It was insane. I was just like, oh my God, I knew Marco Stunt was tiny, but seeing him right next to Luchasaurus, I was like, wow.
Doesn't he have a brother or something, too?
I don't
Marco
know.
Stunt.
I don't know
think
his
I see
brother's
like
name.
but I see like somebody like another stunt, like a stunt brother or something. I don't know. I saw that.
Yeah.
I know I'm not crazy.
I believe it. Well, good to see like Luchasaurus on a big platform. I mean, I saw him at Bar Wrestling a couple of times, and he's totally over the crowd over there. And
I like that. I told him, I said, man, you're fucking like. Have you ever seen Austin without like the mask and all that?
I have not.
He's a big old like. You don't need to cover that face up with the mask, is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got an amazing look, and it's sometimes, and we were talking about this, sometimes you can let yourself hang out a lot more and do a lot more when you're, like under a mask. It's like you can be somebody else, and then it's like if you look foolish, it's not you looking foolish, it's the the character or whatever. And we were talking about that. It's a thing, like I even just wearing a pair of sunglasses out to the ring.
Yeah.
When you're doing a promo, to hide behind a pair of sunglasses,
Right.
so people don't see your gears spinning. Like,
Is that ultimately the better way to do it, or would you argue that having the microaggressions of your face and seeing how you react to things might be more beneficial? Or
it depends. I mean, it's some, we all have like, I talked about this recently on the Performance Center doc they put out when I was down there. How, and they were talking about the Hall of Fame induction, and I've always been scared of talking in public. So there's different ways you cope with that, and some people do that, let me wear these sunglasses out there even though, we're inside and it's not bright out, or, something, whatever. I don't know. You do what you can, to get past things like that. I don't know how I got off on this fucking subject. Get me back on track
I
here.
just think that Honestly, I'm a bigger fan of a guy that, you know, should be wearing the mask if he needs to.
Yeah.
Because think about it. If Luchasaurus, for example, didn't have this character that he did and he was, I don't know, just a random Joe Schmo, you know, and let's say he had all the abilities that he has now.
Yeah.
But the truth is you need something extra to get you over with that audience. So I think that sometimes it's a lot better. Like think of some guys that are, you know, big lucha stars or wear their mask or whatever, and you know what they look like without their mask. Like think about it. Like do you think they'd probably be as over without that mask?
Oh my God.
Or
I
think
can
about
think of some people.
or some guys that don't have a mask, and I've seen them in the ring, and I'm just like, man, if that guy had a mask, I might help him out, you know, a little bit more with his personality and really getting out there. Because there's some guys that I've seen that are very good in the ring, but either A, they're not connecting with the audience, or two, they're just not really selling it, you know?
Right, absolutely.
Like for instance, like if you have ever seen a like hair versus mask or mask or a contra mask or a match, like two legends in Mexico, and then, you know, one loses and they pull the mask off and it's like, holy fuck, put the mask back on. Or not even that, but like, holy fuck, that's the guy who looks like my fucking middle school teacher or just some normal dude. He don't look, you know.
Yeah.
Like the mask is, Maybe
That's
you
a
shouldn't have
mistake.
lost your mask, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
I can think of a few specifically.
All right. So moving on, one of the other matches. I don't know if you guys want to talk. Well, you said that you saw Best Friends and Angelico and Jack Evans, a tag team match.
Yeah,
what did
I
you
saw
think about
Jack.
that?
It was I came in right as they were going to the ring, and I saw Jack like walking on his hands down to the ring. You know, Jack used to live with me. Jack and I used to live together. Cool. Yeah, for quite a while. It was great. I mean, it wasn't the best time of my life, but for where I was in my life, it was great, relatively speaking. You know, I mean, we had good times, and we had great matches, and it was fun. It was so great to see him, and that he's doing great, and he's a father and a good husband, and just a really good dude, really good fucking guy. And so I'm really happy, you know, it was so great to see that guy.
Did you guys get to talk at all?
Oh yeah, tons.
Did he say anything? Did he say anything cool or notable?
Nothing I can share.
All right.
Bonus content.
He smarted me up to a couple of things.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, I think that what I saw from Twitter's perspective on this was I saw some people messaging me on my time like, oh my God, Angelico and Jack Evans, like either they hadn't seen them before, or maybe hadn't seen them very often, and they were just like, man, my mind is blown. And I just kept thinking like, hell yeah, like these two guys are great together. And now I'm just thinking too, like, I hope that with AEW, I hope that they're really branded well too, because I think they'll really connect with the audience if they're branded really well and really, really push them. I think they'll definitely have something with them there. And it was a good precursor to what tag team wrestling could look like in the company.
Sure, absolutely.
All right. I know, Sean, I don't know if you watched the women's match that was actually prior, but I did want to mention, since Flobo, you did watch it on TV, did the huge pop for Awesome Kong come through on television?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at it from the WWE perspective, if you're still watching that, you know, Karma debuted and then disappeared. But if you just take that little part of her career, Awesome Kong was a beast doing what she does in the ring. So to have her come unannounced was definitely the surprise that division definitely made it worthwhile. Because I know Britt Baker was amazing in that match, and so was Kylie Ray as well. But having Kong show up and have her go to toe with Nyla was definitely like the extra icing on the cake.
I think, though, that Awesome Kong sort of definitely overshadowed Nyla. I think Nyla, probably out of the four women, was not the strongest in this match, though, you know? So I think that was the one thing, because you see her in the match, and then once Awesome Kong comes in, she sort of replaces her in this match, you know? But, I mean, overall, I really did like this match, too, and I thought Kylie Ray's character is really going to be something.
So, can I ask you a question, then? If you were being fantasy booker, would you keep it a triple threat and then have, like, Kong come after the match results? Would that both shine?
I just think that the match would have been the same with or without Nyla.
Okay, fair.
That sort of thing. Like, it didn't really make a difference,
Fair.
you know? But yeah, so, okay, moving on to probably which was the match that sort of made this event, if you want to say, Cody defeating Dustin. This was the ultimate storytelling match. A lot of people are comparing this.
It was the best match of the night.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It was the best match of the night, and nothing against, not. Because when you say that, it's like some people go, like that's a put down on any other match that was on. Because there was great matches. This is one of the, arguably one of the best pay-per-views. I don't know. Some people say ever, from their, from in their minds, just because of the significance of it all. And that was the best match on the show. If you go by the crowd reaction and the sustained heat from beginning to end, not okay. There's moments. There's like, okay, because there's great matches to where the people are going fucking ape shit, and then there's parts of the match where they're dead fucking quiet until they get them going again. You know what I mean, right?
Right.
Even some of the really great matches that have been talked about recently, you find, quiet spots, in those matches that, like, ideally you don't want to have.
Right.
And this match didn't have that. The fucking people were crazy the whole way through, from what I could tell.
And even the post-match stuff, what you think about that part?
Yeah, it was so great. Just, when I talk about the really important stuff is not the moves, it's the stuff in between the moves. And that's all. Like, the shit that they did here, like the stuff they did in between the moves was brilliant, was just fucking, it was so great. Mm-hmm. And I'm so happy for both of those guys, but Dustin especially. Because Dustin, he's admittedly, he's been very open about, like, his struggles and all that. And a lot of that has to do with self-image and, and not thinking, as high enough about yourself as you should. And like, so when I see him go out there and do that, and everyone, piling praise on him for it that he deserves, it just makes me really happy for him. Yeah.
To me, not taking anything away from Cody, but I thought Dustin was the star of this match.
He was. Yeah.
Prior to this match, I was telling my fiance who was sitting right next to me, I told him, like, man, imagine how good this match would have been. This was prior to the match, okay?
Yeah.
I was like, imagine how good this match would have been had we had a few weeks of, like, a real, televised build towards this match. And part of me, I thought that I wasn't going to get as into this match, or that maybe other people weren't going to get as into this match just because we didn't have a full story to get behind of. Yeah. But it turns out that I was completely wrong, because it sort of started from almost like the end of a story, but also with all the other stuff that we already knew from their history from years and years prior, sort of was implied with this match. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I also love the build up they had on that being the Elite show. You have Dustin, retired Goldust character, and then going to himself. But then you had Cody cut that amazing promo saying, I'm not going to beat my brother. I love my brother, but he just represents that old guard, that old attitude era kind of thing, and I'm going to destroy that. And so even if you didn't know about Goldust or even Black Reign, let's be honest, you had something going in there going like, what's going to happen between these two, for sure.
Or 7.
A 7, yeah. Oh man, that was sticky back. That's awesome. Like, this gimmick is weird.
So also when I first started in wrestling, I'm like 15 years old. I was around Dustin a lot. I didn't wrestle. Like, we both, like, would hang out at Bret Sawyer. I don't know if you know who Buzz and Bret Sawyer were. They were wrestling brothers, kind of like the original Steiner brothers, actually. Buzz was fucking nuts, but we hung out there, Nasty Boys and Dustin, and they worked for Florida Championship Wrestling, and I was a Malenko guy. So I was around Dustin a little bit there, and I actually met Dustin for the first time when I was about 10 years old. He was at one of the wrestling shows with his dad. I know Dustin a long time. I was so happy for that guy.
Did you guys talk to him at the?
Just a little bit, yeah, enough.
What was his mood? Was this prior or after his match?
I'm sure he was in, his mood was amazing. It's just he's very middle, like, you know, you don't see any real huge sway in emotion, like
stoic.
Yeah, he was pretty stoic, or just, you know, just kind of laid back vibe. You know, like you couldn't tell looking at him that he was on cloud nine, but he was.
Oh, awesome.
That's awesome. All right, so moving on, we had a very shocking surprise appearance by Bret Hart, who that was just everybody lost their mind the second his music hit and they saw his name on the Titantron. It was insane. He came out to introduce the AEW title. So what did you think about that? Were you shocked? Were you surprised?
Not a lot shocks me, so no, I wasn't shocked. A little bit surprised, just because you're surprised, just because, like, okay, it catches you off guard. You didn't, you know. It was a good surprise. I picked a really good person for that, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and the belt was great looking.
Does it, I mean, I can't help but to wonder, does that, you know, what are the implications of something like that? You
What
know?
do you mean?
Like coming on to the show as Bret Hart, you know, being here on AEW, and then, you know, people are obviously like wondering, like, you know, what does that mean towards his relationship with WWE? Does it mean anything?
I don't know.
Or
I'm
you
not
think he's
sure.
just at the phase where, like, I'm Bret Hart, I can do
He's
anything.
Bret Hart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Legend status.
Yeah, he's Bret the Hitman Hart. Oh fuck! I had a thought too. Boy, imagine that, me with the thought.
You were saying the belt design was pretty cool. I know it looks pretty large and looks definitely different than what WWE's doing right now. Anything in particular that you found that was most attractive about it?
I just like that it wasn't the conventional design that you see. You know what I mean? It wasn't because a lot of the belt designs, they have a similar look to them.
Yeah.
You know, and like the shape, everything about it. I just thought it had a really, really neat, very classy, just beautiful. It was beautiful. I really enjoyed that segment too. I thought MJF. I think he's great. I've known. I recognized him. I think he was about 17 or 18 when I first met him, and I'm like, oh yeah, just keep on doing what you're doing. You know. I met his mom and dad actually at Starrcast.
That's cool.
Yeah.
They're proud of their boy, I guess.
Yeah, because the father came up to me and goes, "Oh, I'm father of MJF. He was telling me you recognized him before he was ever even MJF." And I'm like, "Actually, yeah. Now that you mention it, you know, I just told him, you know, you're going to do something. It's not, you know, I'm not. I'm sure I'm not the only one that told him that, right?" So,
well, that brings up a good question. How does it feel now in this part of your career when people come up to you and say, "Oh, I watched you," or "You helped train me," or "You gave me the advice I needed to become the person I am today"? I mean, is that kind of surreal, or is it like?
no, it's not surreal.
Yeah.
I'm used to it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I used to not put as much stock into it. It used to be just like, I was grateful. I was like, yeah, that's nice. Yeah, thank you for saying that. But, you know, I look at it a whole lot. I look at it a little bit different now. Mm-hmm. You know, I understand the magnitude of somebody, you know, being inspired by you, or, you know, I understand the magnitude and, you know, like, of having an impact in somebody's life, because that's fucking powerful, you know. And when somebody, you know, a positive impact, because my life has not been filled with all positive things. So the fact that, you know, I hear that even now, it's just, you know, it's great. I'm incredibly grateful for that.
Brody King had a good story when he came onto our show, and he said that you suggested he changed his gear, and
yeah.
he did it, and he was like, I felt the difference.
Yeah. That's when I was telling, you know, because that's what I was telling Luchasaurus. I was like, dude, it's the same with Brody. I'm like, your gimmick is you. Like, look at all the tattoos, and like, look at your hair and your beard and just the way you look. And I'm like, you know, because Brody King, he had these fucking ugly ass trunks on that was, I mean, they were busier than the fucking tattoos he had. And I'm like, dude, black trunks, come on, man. Your gimmick is on your body. You don't need to.
Fair, yeah.
You know, like the plain fucking looking people are the ones that need fancy looking trunks with a bunch of designs on them.
And tassels.
Because they're
and glitter.
boring looking.
Yeah, astute, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, he made the note, and it definitely worked out for
It
him.
did work
So
out
good for him.
It's the main reason why he's successful right now.
Those new tights, I swear, yeah.
All right.
So, anyways, yeah, back to the Bret Hart segment with the belt, MJF, and who else was out there? Adam Page, right? Yeah.
Yeah, they had a few run-ins. I think after a while, it kind of got very distracted. Where for a while, I think it took them a bit to actually debut the bout. I remember for a while, I had time to like almost draft a tweet saying, "Well, what happened to the bout?"
Yeah.
You know, so like there was so much going on.
Yeah. So one of the things that I was amused by was that was neat for me was watching how amused Bret was out there listening to MJF.
And his line about making
All
the
of
joke.
it. Yeah. Just all of it. I could see him like kind of smiling and like I could tell he was genuinely having a good time out there. And so, you know, something happened and I'm not sure when or obviously it was at the end, but apparently he fell because when I went back in his dressing room and Bret and I, we had a long conversation about different things. But when I first walked in there, he's just sitting there with his wife and got this huge bag of ice on his wrist. And, you know, I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, you get fucking jumped at the Hall of Fame and now, what the fuck's going on here? Yeah. And he told me, I fell and,
Wow.
but, you know, he wasn't mad about it. He was, I fell. And then we got up a little bit later. Like, he was like, my hips bother me a little bit. But he was, and then, like, he was up walking around after the show, like, for quite a while. And, you know, hopefully he's okay. I'm sure he's probably, you know, the next day you're even more sore than.
Yeah.
You know, so I was like, oh, fuck, Bret. Hope you're not feeling too bad today.
I didn't catch that when he fell. Like in
Me
the live
neither.
audience, I didn't see it at all.
Me neither.
You know, so I'm like, I don't even know how it happened or when exactly it happened. But, you know, I think everybody was just still like, well, I'm sure obviously some people saw, you know, in the live events. Obviously, they didn't put that on on the air, you know. But so it was just pretty interesting because I think everybody was so distracted with everything that was happening, the new bout, going online and posting that Bret Hart's here and, oh, look at the bout and what do you think about it? So all this, there was just so much distraction or a lot going on.
And what else was I going to say about the Bret stuff? Oh, fuck. Oh, so yeah. Oh. Because I hadn't seen him since the Tom McGee documentary came out, and we were talking about that because I don't know. You remember me talking about how I thought they gave up on Tom too quick, and that they could have, you know. And Bret's like, you know, we were talking about it the other day during this, and he's like, yeah. He didn't use these exact words, but basically he was telling me you had your work cut out for you on that one.
So he didn't agree with you.
Not that he didn't agree with me. He's just saying, like, this was what, you know.
Yeah.
Because we talked about it many, many years ago, but it had been, you know, it's been 25, closer to 30 years since we had that conversation. And, you know, it was just, we had a good conversation about it. And he thanked me for kind words I had about it. Like, I was just telling the truth. You know, they asked me how good was Bret. I'm like, he's fucking as good as he said he was. It's the truth. So, yeah.
All right. Did you want to add anything else about that or?
No.
All right. Well, moving on.
Real quick question for you
Yeah,
guys. Just
please.
as someone who's a little outside of AEW and WWE, do you feel like they did anything with this inaugural event to really distinguish themselves from WWE? Like,
All kinds of shit.
what do you feel like were some of the biggest takeaways that you saw specifically that really distinguished this as a brand?
Oh, I don't know. It's just the look of it, the way the mat. It's just there's a different style. Like, God damn it, Jeff. Why do you got to ask me the tough questions?
Sorry, y'all. It's this is a big outing for AEW, so I'm just, it seems like just aesthetically they're really going for something kind of unique.
They're presenting their show, they're presenting their product as a more like athletic contest oriented product. Like it's not just, this is just sports entertainment, so we can get away with having a bunch of comedy segments and, and just different things and not really care about wins and losses. And, they're focusing on wins and losses mattering, which makes the matches mean more,
Yeah, it's cool.
Things like that.
Well, it seems like a really positive outing from what I'm reading, so congrats to them.
Yeah, for sure. Congrats. It's actually, Jeff, the truth is it's congratulations to the wrestling industry overall for especially the talent.
Yeah, it's huge.
Talent all like the talent in WWE, talent there, talent everywhere. It just makes it so much better for everyone.
Absolutely.
All right, well, moving on, we also had the Young Bucks defeating the Lucha Brothers, and which was I think they said that this match almost went half hour, I think.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on this one?
After the All In when they got screwed on their time.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, they were making sure. they were last at All In, right?
Yeah. Were they last?
Yeah, they were on
I just
last.
remember
That's
they
why
had
they're
the
that's where
10-minute
they're
match. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Now I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, so I saw some really cool shit in that match. I was watching off to the side, kind of the side of the stage where the jib camera was. So yeah, and so they followed Cody, but they had that Bret, belt segment in between that really helped because, boy, that Cody and Dustin match was a motherfucker to follow. I bet.
But it kept the energy up, though.
Yeah, and they did. They did a great job of following that. It was really smart the way they put that segment with Bret in the middle there, kind of just for a little breathing room and yeah.
It kind of kept the fans going like, "What's next? I'm ready for it." Yeah. It wasn't like, "Okay, there, I had all this energy, now I'm down."
And
no.
just some of the spots, some of the spots were just it's the Super Brainbuster thing that like tribute to Jericho.
Yeah.
I just there's some of that stuff, and it's not just the stuff itself; it's just where they place it. Trying to get all into the weeds on like how matches work and whatnot, but
Yeah, please do.
I
can inquire more about the placement. You mean placement of the match or the?
No, just the moves and the spots, and then and the flow of the match, and the back and forth, and
It also
not
told a good
not
story.
rushing things and letting things breathe, and just because when you're working that. When you work that fast and you're that lightning quick, like, and at the same time you work a lightning quick pace, it's hard to digest all that. And I think they did a really good job of doing all this stuff, but having a nice methodic pace. It's like different courses of a meal. You can enjoy each section.
Sean, is it okay if I disagree with you on that
You're
part?
more than welcome to.
I'm sorry, but it's just, okay, so like me, when I thought, okay, the Young Bucks and Lucha Brothers, I'm expecting like fast pace, right? Because that's what you would think would go into this match. After watching you get the story, Bucks are a little rusty, this is going to play into the part of the finish, blah, blah, blah. But for me, because I already was thinking, okay, the Young Bucks are one of the top tag teams out there, right? There's the Young Bucks, there's the Lucha Brothers, and then there's LAX. To me, those are like the top tag teams out there right now. So my thing was, okay, I've seen Lucha Brothers, LAX go at it. So this is what I'm expecting as a match at that caliber, or maybe even a little bit higher or around that caliber. And to me, I didn't feel it was there, Like, this is taking away nothing from the match, but to me, I had higher expectations after seeing what the Lucha Brothers and LAX could do. I was having higher expectations, and also because I genuinely like that fast-paced, nonstop, keep going style. And so for me, like, that's always like kind of like watching. I was like, okay, this is good, great. I love this part, good. I like this going, but it didn't really rile me up my seat and make me go like, oh my god, what am I watching? You know, sort of deal.
You
But
heard it
that was
there
just
from
me.
Denise Salcedo. The Young Bucks and
I'm
the Lucha
sorry.
Brothers was not good.
No, I didn't say
Where's
it
your
wasn't
Twitter
good.
at?
I didn't think it was at the caliber of LAX Lucha Brothers. But that's not taking away from anything. If anything, that's exciting to me to say, hey, there's more out there, and you can throw that all in
And
there.
also, your opinion is wrong. Wait a minute. I don't think opinions can be wrong. I'm just fucking with you, Denise.
No, it's okay. But I don't know
Thank
if there's
you.
anybody else that feels that
so
way.
I'm sure there is.
You know, so
I'm sure
hey.
there is. I didn't see Lucha Brothers and fucking LAX, so I wasn't judging it on anything but what I was watching in the building, and so yeah, I wasn't judging it off. I wasn't comparing it to anything. So I can see why if you're comparing it to something else, it might, disappoint you, Denise.
I'm sorry, but I do that sometimes. I do that. Like
Hot
if I see certain guys in a match with another guy, and then afterwards I think, okay, they're gonna have this type of match with this type of guy. I
Yeah.
think, okay, well, I'm gonna compare it to this match.
Yeah,
I mean, I wouldn't compare their match to Cody and Dustin. Why? Because it's two totally different things. I'm gonna compare it to something that is sort of similar with guys that are somewhere in that same style, sort of deal. So yeah, so that's where my whole thing comes from. I can't help
don't
it.
ever ask permission on my show to have a dissenting opinion, Denise. I think I've talked to you about
Yeah, I
that.
fill out an application like everybody else. No, I'm kind of in the middle. I feel like if the match was on itself and I was just showing someone that it was kind of slow paced and it wasn't on that level of that match. However, the fact that it came after Cody and Dustin and before the other build main event, I was okay with being a palate cleanser. So I'm kind of two worlds here, and I think the match was solid. I mean, or even a little better than solid, but overall.
Sometimes when you follow a match that like drains the people, but I don't know if, I don't know what the. Anyways, next.
All right, Jericho defeating Kenny Omega. What did you think about this match? We've seen them go at it before.
I watched the match. See, that's the thing. Like, I hope we don't advertise this when we put the title of the show up. I hope we don't this isn't a rundown of, even though we're running down the show. Like this isn't a real double or nothing review because I didn't see all the show, right? So, so I was watching that from Bret's dressing room, and there wasn't really any sound, so I couldn't tell how the crowd was. How was the crowd?
In and out at some point.
In and out.
Yeah.
It seemed that from watching on TV it was pretty even, but yeah, it wasn't as hot as the Dustin and Cody match.
And how did they buy the finish?
You know what? I kind of felt the finish came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't prepared to see the finish yet, that sort of deal. Like I was watching, and then I think I turned to look at the screens because I was going back and forth, and then I turned back and I was like, wait, what? I was like, I missed the finish, and because I didn't see it coming. Usually when you see the finish coming, you're like, okay, I'm watching, I'm waiting for the finish. Okay, oh, there it is, or oh, it's not there, so maybe it'll come soon. When they do like near falls or something like that, you there's a moment in the match where you think it might be happening, so you're really, really focused. But when you don't really see it coming, that's kind of where I was taken aback.
How long was the match?
I don't know actually.
Look at the time.
It was a good
It was pretty.
solid 20 or 30 minutes.
Yeah, it didn't feel too long, and it didn't feel too short to me, at least.
Yeah.
I was surprised the back elbow. I mean, that's a very hard.
It's a move
to see.
he talked about that he was debuting as his finisher.
27 minutes even.
Leading into the show, he was, he posted videos of him training for that and practicing that. So I mean, it wasn't just like, where did that come from? As in, I mean, he did announce that was going to be his new finisher. Okay. So, yeah, Chris does so he's not out having matches every week like the rest of I don't know how many matches Kenny Omega's having these days, but when you're not out there working all the time, it's tough to go out there and do a fucking 5-minute match, let alone a 30-minute match. It's brutal, and you could tell he chugged his way through that. I could tell, you could tell, getting toward the end there, and Chris looked pretty banged up actually when I saw him.
Well, then Kenny had a broken nose.
Yeah, I heard he had one going into it.
Yeah, I was a little confused if he had it before or he got it during the match, but it seemed like he got it before because Cody was like, Kenny wrestled with a broken nose, and then, so... I don't know. But John Moxley's debut happened during this match. Well, post-match. I think the rumors and theories were a lot of people were like, okay, this is going to happen. But I think sort of at this point in the show, we kind of thought like maybe it wasn't going to happen. I don't know. Did it come as a surprise?
No.
No. You. Right? You're shocked.
No, it's just like, why would he have left WWE? To go on an extended excursion to find himself, go out into the wilderness and
travel the 7 seas, I don't
something.
know.
It was, it doesn't have to be shocking to me for me to feel that, you get the goosebumps and you see you feed off the energy, because the fucking reaction was deafening. Yeah. You couldn't hear yourself think. And it was at a fever pitch, sustained fever pitch the whole time. And then it would and then there would be pops from there. It was at a fever pitch, and then when they would do something, it would pop even higher. And you don't see it as much, you don't get those moments are really rare.
It was pretty crazy seeing him on top of the chips with his arms up in the air, and I was like, "Oh man, that's a photo op."
This wasn't necessarily a free agent. This wasn't someone who had their tenure and walked away. I mean, the former Dean Ambrose still had a bunch of his prime years left, and then he decided to say, "Look, I'm going to get out of this contract. I'm going to opt out." It did feel like this may be one of the title shifts, right? Having him come in, we have the picture here in the studio, after giving that DDT to Kenny Omega and saying, "Hey, look, there is no accepted rules or what we think this is going to be. It's all out the window."
Yeah.
And it looks like John Moxley's also going to be working with New Japan. He's already set to have a match on June 5th against Juice Robinson for the IWGP US Heavyweight title at Best of the Super Juniors final. Again, June 5th. I'm pretty excited for this match. I think that John Moxley's brawling style is going to be unique for New Japan. Yeah. And I like the fact that he's working with Juice Robinson, because I feel like Juice Robinson has become that guy where he's that measuring stick between the New Japan style and the American style. And, he's worked with guys like Sami Callihan. He's worked with Cody. So I think that this is going to be a pretty good mix to see. And I'm interested in seeing how this relationship is going to work, where obviously his prime contract is with the AEW, but he's also able to work these New Japan dates. So I'm very interested to see how it's going to work together. And I think that the pros are for this, that, New Japan does, if they want to continue this US expansion, they are going to need, American guys to kind of draw some of that audience in.
I can't imagine New Japan being able to use Dean Ambrose in the United States.
Oh, that's right. I forgot, because he's the international dates. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't see that. And if I was AEW, I would not allow that. You have to have distinctions between brands. Sure. Especially coming into how the climate of the industry now, I was telling Conrad when he was on the show, I knew the Kumbaya days were coming to an end after All In. Mm-hmm. When somebody not WWE sells 10,000 tickets in 30 minutes and, eyebrows get raised. Yeah. So, and we talked about this before. I've mentioned this before, the brand confusion between Impact and MLW,
right?
In the past, I think they're kind of get more distinct. Words, Sean, words. I have them in my head. I need to use them better. I think that you could tell the difference between the two brands a lot more now than you could maybe 6 months ago, where they were a lot of the same talent was on both shows.
Right.
Any of the same talent still going back and forth?
I haven't been keeping up with MLW as much, to tell you the truth. So I would have to circle back on that one.
Yeah.
But it makes me very curious, like, you know, with AEW and all of that, like, what does this mean for wrestling? You know, like, obviously this probably doesn't look too good for the indies, I think, because, you know, a lot of the talent that is good, once people find out they're good, people are going to be reaching, whether it's MLW, Impact, Ring of Honor, WWE, AEW, etc. You know, people are going to be taking talent off for a while. So I know that that's definitely going to change the indie scene. And then it also makes me wonder, you know, are other companies like Ring of Honor, MLW, or whoever, are they going to be able to keep up, you know, if AEW and WWE are like the strong forces, you know? So it's going to be, I think, very interesting to see who really hangs on there.
I can see some the indies that are the independent promotions that are smaller, you know, like the, I don't know, MLWs or the Impacts or whatever, or, I don't know, or even smaller than that, but they still do, you know, decent business on their, you know, when they run shows like Northeast Wrestling, Big Time Wrestling, Maryland Championship Wrestling, out here on the West Coast, like All Pro Wrestling.
PWG?
Well, no. I mean, they're just kind of their own little
Fair enough.
thing.
Absolutely.
And I don't see them, you know, saying they're part of anything but fucking PWG. But, you know, like PCW out here, Joey, you know. I can see all these independent promotions at some point aligning with one or the other, kind of like Evolve does with WWE, or even other groups like in Europe, in you know, in the UK, like Insane Championship Wrestling, or, you know, things like that, where there's a loose alliance with, you know, WWE. And I see, you know, like these guys leading up to all of this, showing up at all these different independent shows, you know, Young Bucks and Cody and different people. And it just makes me think that those promotions can be like the local promotions, you know, for an AEW, or,
Right.
I mean, almost like, yeah, just there, because there's always been, when a big company runs shows in an area, they always have the local promoters.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just riffing and thinking out loud.
So now, do you think that AEW proved themselves to be a viable competitor with WWE?
Well, I mean, they're off to a really good start.
Fair.
Okay. And the press coming out and the buzz coming out of that show, I can't imagine it being any more positive than it is. I mean, it was a home run. The show's a home run in every sense of the word. I mean, financially, everything.
Yeah.
I mean, even if no one bought the pay-per-view, fuck, that live gate was really big.
Yeah. The show's cross-promoted on the NBA playoffs, so impressions were through the roof.
Now, what do you have to say to those fans that, because I think that some fans think that you either have to be an AEW fan or a WWE fan. I feel like some fans are in that school of thought where you're either or.
Tribalism.
Or, you know, but I don't feel everyone can associate with that. I can't imagine myself just being a fan of one promotion and not being a fan of another promotion, that sort of thing. So do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, look, people are going to be how they're going to be. And you know, you feel like you're part of this thing, and you want to, you know, be for it, and, you know, to be for it, you got to be against this, and it's silly to me, but I get it. I just think it, you know, so like so let me get this right. You're hoping that this company goes down the shitter, like it's. I mean, look what happened last time. You know, like that happened. You know, it didn't serve wrestling well at all.
Well, yeah, because
when
that's
WCW went under.
Well, I was gonna ask you, like, for, like, you know, it's different, you know. So I didn't live through the Monday Night Wars. I was a kid, so I only half of understood. I didn't really understand what was happening. I didn't understand that until later on in my life, you know. But it's very different for some people are also the ones that are anti-AEW. It's very different for them because they grew up just WWE and people having sort of WWE being on top and having a competitor. It doesn't seem plausible to some people's minds, and they don't want it, and they don't want the change, that sort of thing. So now what do you say to those fans that, you know, don't really see why this is good for wrestling?
Who the fuck? What fans are those?
You haven't seen the people that want AEW to fail on Twitter and stuff like that? There's
Really?
people that don't want AEW to succeed.
I just, Denise, you know, like there's this expression, vocal minority. Like everyone has a voice on social media, and a few of them, like, you know, pop up. And I mean, because it might seem like a lot, but let's be honest. Like, I mean, what's the percentage of people that really feel that way? I mean, who knows? But I have a feeling it's really a kind of a really vocal minority, like just really small sliver of people. I could be wrong. Maybe I got my head in the sand. I don't know. Yeah, I don't get why anyone would truly want them to fail, unless they're just trolling.
Maybe, perhaps.
Or, you know, maybe they're, I don't know, maybe
Maybe it's a counter to a counterculture.
maybe they're bots.
Yeah, they're all bots. I'm speculating. I'm not in that camp or whatever. But I assume if I grew up with WWE and I love that brand so much, and there's another brand, and everyone's saying, "Hey, look, this may be as good as the thing I love," there may be a propensity to say, "No, our stuff is the best." You know, whatever it is, the thing I like is good. That could be it. But I'm just speculating at this point.
Yeah. It's silly. It's silly to me. I'm not going to, I don't think it's for me to go, you can't feel like that. You know, you're not allowed to feel this way. I just, you know, hopefully eventually you grow up. That's all.
All right. Well, do we want to add anything else about AEW or move on to some Raw highlights?
I don't know. Is there any like news coming out of there?
Well, that's pretty much what we have here. We kind of went over everything that's came out so far, so I think we're good to move on.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, so now Raw, there was quite a few things that happened on there. We had the Brock Lesnar Brock party, which was kind of fun, where he was supposed to say, like, you know, what he was going to do on there, but it didn't really happen who he was going to choose to select to go forward for the championship, that sort of thing. Bray Wyatt also introduced his new character, The Fiend. Am I saying that correctly? Did I say that right? Okay. And then Baron Corbin is now the #1 contender against Seth Rollins for the Super Showdown. And then we also had the match with the Iconics, Becky Lynch and Nikki Cross versus the Iconics, which I know you thought was good. Any thoughts?
And what about the match? What about that 4-way with, you know, that Corbin won?
Oh,
So-
with Lashley.
Yeah. I thought it started out kind of funky, but I thought it started working real. Like I think they started grooving, you know, halfway through that. Yeah. And I mean, and I'll be honest with you, much shit is you know, people give Baron Corbin. I thought he looked good in that match. And you know, I haven't always thought that about him. And I don't know. I kind of gave him like, I don't know. You see my tweet last night about you know, it must be nice to if the airline loses your luggage, you can just send someone to Men's Warehouse to get you new wrestling gear. That wasn't a joke. You know, people laughed, and you know, I mean, Taylor Williamson was like, but that was like kind of a joke, but I was coming like from an authentic. All right, I spilled coffee all over the place, and thanks for coming in and cleaning it up, Jeff.
You got it. It's what I'm here for, guys.
Thank God we're not. Anyways, never mind. Yeah, so what I was talking about, Baron Corbin.
You were saying that you can go to Men's Warehouse and
But so I mean, I was kind of making a joke, but there's nothing wrong with like that's what they have him wearing, like for his character, and like we can make fun of her or whatever, but you know, that's not his choice,
right?
You know, and it is like if you've ever been a wrestler or like even just an entertainer that's had to have, you know, costumes or gear made. I mean, that's a motherfucker, especially when there's a bunch of other people there trying to get shit made too. So yeah, if you lose your gear bag, you're fucked. You know, unless you're Baron Corbin, then you can go. you know.
Yeah, off the street.
Yeah, just go down to the men's clothing store. So, yeah, I don't know.
So you got Corbin replacing AJ Styles, who had a back injury, storyline back injury.
Yeah.
That's why he's not going to Jeddah, because they haven't mentioned the country what Jeddah's in. He did look good in that match. Do we think that we want to see Seth against Corbin one more time? Or do you think
honestly,
together?
I think take it or leave it. I don't think it's anything like, oh boy, can't wait for that one.
Right.
We're gonna be honest.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah.
All right.
All right.
So, but you liked the match though, the 4-way.
I did.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I didn't think there was. I mean, other than like it just seemed just a little awkward when it first started.
Yeah.
So, and I guess I could elaborate on that, but it's just there's just ways of. It just when all four guys in a fatal 4-way are all going at it for too long in the beginning, like it's just you're like, okay, somebody's got to get shut down. So you can start the match building up properly. Else it's just four guys kind of just, going back and forth, chopping meat back and forth on each other. So that's the way it felt in the beginning for a little bit until they actually got into the meat and potatoes of the match. So, okay.
What about Becky Lynch and Nikki Cross versus the Iconics?
I really liked what I saw of it. I didn't see the whole thing, but so I get critical of hot tags, and I know you know what I mean by hot tag. Okay, when the babyface is down, and they get heat on the babyface, and then something happens, and then they finally make the tag. Well, it gets so to where when you see that happen, everyone comes in and they do the same shit. Clothesline, clothesline, clothesline. This, you know what I mean? And you got to change it up. And sometimes you don't have to do a million and I thought Becky's hot tag was really good, and the people were into it, and they were hot, and I thought it flowed nicely, and she filled space. People are wondering what the fuck I mean by filling space. When somebody, when you bump somebody and they're getting up, some people just stand there and you could tell they're fucking just, okay, hurry up and get up so I can hit you with the next thing. Or you can do other things show emotions and different kind of movements that make it so it doesn't look like that. And it keeps the people in it. And I thought that she did that really well. And when she came in the hot tag, everything flowed really nicely until the finish. I was really impressed with that part. So.
It's interesting because I guess now that you mention it, I guess I always kind of assume a hot tag happens, you have to do the clothesline. But
exactly, you think that because fucking everyone does it.
Yeah,
I dare people to change that shit up.
That's what's up.
Holy fuck. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Was there anything else that you wanted to go over with Raw? Anything that stood out?
No, there's other matches, that I saw. I thought that fucking Cesaro and Ricochet crushed it.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a good match.
Crushed it. So there is one point where they were going corner to corner, and Cesaro hit Ricochet with the lifter. They're called lifters. A lot of people just, those European uppercuts. I've never seen anyone register and sell a fucking lifter like that. If you watch Bret Hart and Bret in my match when I was 1, 2, 3 kid, and because Bret throws amazing lifters, and Bret used to say that no one sold a lifter better than I did in that match, and I would agree with him until I saw that fucking match last night.
Yeah. That
match on Raw with Cesaro and Ricochet. He hit Ricochet with that lifter and knocked him halfway across the ring. It was incredible. It's just the way they were going in and out of different things and just coming up with just slightly different ways of doing things. And yeah. those are the kinds of things, and those are the kind of matches that help build stars.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not that they're not already stars, but help take people to the next level in the eyes of the fans. You know, yeah, I am not tired of seeing. I mean, that's the second match they've had in the
2 weeks,
yeah. Not tired of it yet.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take another one next week.
It's very easy to write off Ricochet as someone who's just a high flyer guy who does the flips and stuff, but he can sell. I think one of his hidden weapons and talents, and I do think if given the right space, he could be one of the treasures in the main roster for sure.
I think he will. I think he will be. And I just I first met him, and we were. I met him on different things, and we've been on different shows together over the years. At one point, I didn't even remember because he didn't even look anything like he does now. Mm-hmm. We were on Chikara show together. You know, he was probably, I don't know, 30, 40 pounds lighter, or I don't know. And had hair.
They all get to, man. I can tell
Yeah. And so that, and then like I toured with him in Australia a couple of years ago, and I mean, it was amazing then. But when you go to NXT and you learn, and you learn from people like Shawn Michaels on what to do in between the moves shit, you know, he's come a long way from the indies to, you know, to where he is now, selling and all that, you know, and adding to, you know, to the great athleticism and the fucking incredible spots. And like, he's incredibly strong, you know, for his size. I've seen him pick guys up and, you know, muscle guys around in the ring where it was like, God damn, that guy didn't even help him, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just think that they have, I mean, they could put him in, like, they could put him in the main events if they build him up properly.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Both those guys. Cesaro's already been there a while, and it's like, you know, it's no surprise that he's going out there and, you know, I'd like to. Are they going to use him as a singles guy now? Is that what they're doing?
Yeah, as Sheamus recovers from an injury, it seems the bar is on hiatus, and they move into Raw. So it looks they're building.
I wouldn't mind seeing Cesaro carry a singles title around there.
Fair, yeah.
He's one of those guys that always comes out and does what he's supposed to do, has a solid match with any competitor that he has, and he always has that connection with the crowd where he's able to get people to cheer at the right moments or boo at the right moments or whatever. So I feel like he's one of those guys where he's been looked over a bit. We can see him do a lot more there.
And then you get this curse of the great worker, like, oh yeah, he's great, so we could just do this with him, or put him in there with this guy. How about you feature him? You know, he's great, so why don't you feature him instead of, you know, having him try to make the guy that's not as good as him
work with him.
Yeah. So, and you know, there's a couple other things. I wasn't a fan of the electric chair segment at all.
Right.
We could do without that ever again.
And it was on the Dark Hour episode of Raw. The last 2 weeks have been experimenting with the lighting effects and all that, so the lights were turned down. It was a black ring, chair in the middle, and Sami Zayn goes to town against the Kansas City, Missouri crowd to diminishing effect, I guess.
Yeah. You know, we tried things and things, you know. Sometimes you wonder how things... you know, because there's a lot of ideas that are thrown out in, you know, writing sessions and that, and, you know, somehow someone that made it through all the different filters, yeah. So, okay then.
They actually found an actual electric chair, which I didn't think they still made those or sold that prop, but props to them.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Was there anything else that you wanted to hit on for Raw that you thought stood out or shown?
I enjoyed Seth and Sammy.
Nice.
I did. I thought it was good. I thought I liked it a lot.
All right. Sounds good. Do we want to add anything else, or do we want to wrap it up now?
Probably wrap it up.
All right. Well, we can go ahead and wrap it up.
All right. Well, we'll see everybody right here next week. Hey, do you want to give all the fucking...
Let me go ahead and real quick. So, guys, just so you all know, we are officially on Spotify as well. So you guys can just search up X-Pac 12360 on the search browser. Make sure to follow us on there. We're also on iTunes if you guys don't know that already. Please make sure to go and give us a 5-star review, a nice review on iTunes. And then, of course, you can find us on youtube.com/Xpac. And then on Twitter, you can find us at Xpac12360 Show, where you can get exclusive clips. We always put out different stuff on there. And then also on Instagram, we are Xpac12360, as well as on Facebook. So make sure to give us a like and all of that stuff and get connected with us. Spread the word, guys, so that our podcast can continue to grow. So. Also, if you guys want to follow me, you can check me out on Twitter or Instagram at _Denise Salcedo, youtube.com/Denise Salcedo.
All right. Well, also, real quick, I want to thank Mark Madden for hosting my panel at the Starrcast this weekend. It was just he and I out there, and he did a great job of leading me through that, and the people seemed to enjoy it, and so yeah, thank you, Mark Madden, and thanks everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you right here next week from the beautiful AfterBuzz TV studios in North Hollywood, California.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Keven Undergaro, Phil Svitek, Sean Waltman, producers Mark B. Donica, Jimbo Frank, and the entire Xpac 12360 staff, we would like to thank you for tuning in. Like us on Facebook, rate and comment on iTunes and YouTube. Follow Xpac on Twitter at TheRealXpac and email us at xpac12360show@gmail.com.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.